Welcome to This Week in Morgan County. I'm your host, Russell Mokhiber. Our guest this week is Vince Shambaugh. Vince, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Russell. Appreciate it.
You born and raised here in Morgan County. Give us a little bit about your life's history.
Yes, sir. Born in Hagerstown, Maryland, because my dad worked in Hagerstown at the time. Of course, my parents, I was made here, carried here, born in Hagerstown. January 18th, 1969 to Roland and Priscilla Shambaugh. Families have been here for generations. Went to high school here in Berkeley Springs. Came up worked at the state park as a maintenance man. Actually, don't tell a lot of people this, but I was actually a certified masseur. I worked at the park as a masseur for years through high school. Worked several family farms around the area. Got to know a lot of good people working farms, doing things of that nature. Mowed grass. Basically anywhere I could make $1, Dad gave me a good work ethic. Joined the Marine Corps in 1988. Married my high school sweetheart, Melanie. Been married to her ever since. We got married the summer of '89. Was stationed in California. Went to the Gulf War as a young Marine. My wife, Melanie, was pregnant with our first child. I missed the entire pregnancy. I came home to a 3-month-old son. Know about sacrifice. Went off to the Gulf War with them, came home in '92 after I served 4 years with the Marines. Came back here and got a job with factories. I did Fleetwood for a couple years in Winchester, building travel trailers. I did Raylock for a short stint over in Hancock. Once again, got to know a lot of people in the blue collar world. That's kind of I was raised by a truck driver. Smiley Shambaugh is my dad. He's the one that drives the water truck here in Berkeley Springs. Been here forever and ever. He's 85, still working. Anyway, while I was doing the factory thing, joined the Guard in 1993. Became a military policeman with the Guard. Thus started my interest in becoming a civilian police officer. I did some really cool things with the Guard, anti-drug operations and things of that nature. Did Olympic security in Atlanta, working with civilian police, and kind of morphed into my first police job in Paw Paw. I was chief of police in Paw Paw from '96 to '99. Great department, great mayor, great staff. Did a lot of good things with Paw Paw. Worked the grants, got them up to a 3-man department. Got some really good equipment, modernized them, did good things. Sheriff Spitzer took a liking to me in what I did with Paw Paw in '99. Brought me down to the sheriff's office. Became a sheriff's deputy in the fall of '99. Worked my way through the ranks as sheriff's deputy under Sheriff Spitzer and Sheriff McIntyre, who took over after Spitzer. Worked my way through the ranks, like I said, from deputy to corporal, corporal to sergeant, sergeant to chief deputy in 2006. 2008, I ran for sheriff. I was fortunate enough to be elected here as sheriff, and I served 2 terms as sheriff from 2008 to 2016.
And what's been your work since 2016? What have you been doing?
I came out of term limits. West Virginia's term limit as sheriff. So
you can only run for 2 terms.
Correct.
You can only serve for 2 terms.
Yes, sir. Same as president. We can do 2 4-year terms. I did my 2 4-year terms and rotated out of that term in 2016. I went and became a government police officer. I went kind of one of the oldest guys that went through the academy class of LETC in Little Rock, Arkansas in the summer of '17. I went through and became a certified federal law enforcement officer for the Veterans Administration. Mm-hmm. So I worked for them until the spring of '17 till the summer of 2018. I was fortunate enough to work at the Veterans Hospital as a police officer there, a sworn federal law enforcement officer. I'm already retired from the military. I kind of get off base on that story, but after I switched over to the Guard and became a military police officer, I also became a Phoenix Raven. I did VIP and SHAT security all the way up to the level of president. I got to visit 70 countries as a Phoenix Raven with the Guard.
What is a Phoenix Raven?
The easiest way to do it is Google it. It's the Air Force's SHAT and VIP protection anti-terrorist specialist program. We work in 2 to 8-man teams, depending on the size of the mission, the length of the mission, and we go to countries with inadequate or no security and protect U.S. assets abroad.
What made you decide to run again for sheriff? You served from 2008 to 2016. Why run again now?
Well, the main issue is the fact that working out of town, I haven't got to town much here lately. I work west in Mineral County. I drive 100 miles a day, and I work long days. The only time I get to town is weekends or, God forbid, funerals or grocery store things that I have to come to town for because we live on the West End. It seems to be a fact that I can't come to town without every other person, it seems, many people asking me to come back out and run. I had taken that job in Mineral County to get my retirement as a deputy. I only needed a few years to go. And I didn't know I could retire. I thought I had to have 20 years of service, which would have had to been another full year of school after this year before I could retire. So initially I told people I couldn't run. And I checked with the retirement board, and lo and behold, I can retire in March. I'll be 51 years old next week. I have 19 years of service. It equals 70 years. That hits the magic number, so I can retire. So that changes everything with whether I could or couldn't run. So it's kind of confusing, but here I am. That's why we decided to come on out and run.
Why do you think people are asking you to run again? What do you think the issues are?
I'm not going to badmouth anybody. I'm not going to run anybody down, but on my record, there was a lot of good things we ended up doing. I mean, indictments were off the charts, drug arrests were off the charts. We were bringing in piles of forfeiture money and using that money to better our department, to better services for Morgan County. We had some great programs. We had a SWAT team here in the county that God forbid, should you need a call out of a specialized team, we're right here generalized. We had DARE in the schools. We had a lot of good things going on. I had an Are You OK program for the elderly.
What is that?
It was a program for shut-ins through the senior center in partnership with the senior center that shut-ins, the system would automatically call them daily and check on them and make sure, widows, widowers, shut-ins, make sure they were okay. Mm-hmm. I gave out free drug tests to all the parents in Morgan County who wanted to test their kids to try to handle problems at home before drug problems got to be a problem with their children. The list goes on and on. We had a drug box in the office where we took up drugs from the community, outdated drugs or drugs that weren't used. It would go to the DEA so they wouldn't have to put them into our water supply or they wouldn't get in the hands of the wrong people. A lot of good programs, a lot of good things we had going.
The sheriff, we interviewed the sheriff earlier today, and the sheriff says that, when he came into office in 2016, there were maybe 10 to 12 calls to his office a month on overdoses. And that's been drastically changed over his 4 years. So the sheriff makes a case for him. But I'm wondering, this is something that I've been thinking about a lot. In the 2016 election, it was a close race, three-way race.
Yes, sir.
Ronnie Stotler, Wade Shambaugh, Casey Boer. And it was probably the most exciting political race in Morgan County that year. People were really into it. But I still wasn't able to get my head around what the interest was. Why? Because these all seem like decent people who will do a good job. What do you think drives the politics of a sheriff's race?
Well, as any political race, it's a shame to say, but it's a popularity contest is all it is. On people's records, of course. And I'm sure the fact that it was a three-way race is what made it so heated and debated that it cut that vote three ways. Right.
But this one, as far as you know, this primary, this Republican primary, will just be Vince Shambaugh against Casey Boer.
Yes, sir. To the best of my knowledge, I spoke to Ronnie Stotler, and he wasn't interested in coming out this time. I haven't heard about anybody else getting on the ballot. I mean, it's not a complete impossibility, but I haven't heard anything.
Right. And to the people of Morgan County, what do you think Vince Shambaugh sheriff, Ms. Shambaugh as sheriff will be different from K.C. Boer? How it will be significantly different?
Well, I want to run on what I was before. I was, like I said, I'm born and raised here. I've been in a uniform, serving this community, serving this nation since pre-puberty, since Cub Scouts. I've worn a uniform my entire life. I've had a incredible want to serve, and I've been fortunate and blessed enough to be able to serve. I made it all the way to Eagle Scout. I moved into the military just as soon as I could get out of high school. I served 20 years in the military. I've had my hand on the pulse here with the community, with several civic organizations, and I attend them every year. I don't just come to them election years. Boy Scouts, American Legion, VFW, things of that nature. I'm active with Lions. There's just so many things that you can do to keep your hand on the pulse of the community and be accessible and to be a good sheriff and a good public servant.
What is your sense as to the nature and level of crime in Morgan County compared to 4 years ago?
Well, I don't think a whole lot has changed as far as the numbers or the need. I mean, we've got the same amount of, the population hasn't grown much. We have the same amount of deputies. We have the same things going on. God forbid there's even worse stuff out now where fentanyl and things of that nature have hit the streets here. We're starting to see meth here too, where we didn't see much of that before. What the question was you were asking was a sense of it?
What's your sense as to the level of crime in Morgan County compared to 4 years ago? Because the sense I got from the sheriff was he thought that things are getting better.
I would have to see what kind of reports and what kind of criminal investigations. How many? I haven't checked into the numbers. I know we was doing about 800 criminal investigations a year when I was sheriff. I guess the thing to look into would certainly be indictments, where I was a couple times. I had as many as 55, but indictments right now you've only got about 12. I don't know if that's really an indicator that crime rate's gotten lower, or the crime rate's not being worked on as hard as it should be.
There's only a couple months till the election. It's May 12th. Republicans and independents can vote in that Republican primary on May 12th. What do you plan on in terms of the campaign? What do you hope to be doing? In terms of
Come May 12th.
Getting out into the community and that kind of thing. What was your campaign like the first couple times? I wasn't familiar with it.
I am one of those guys who keeps it simple. I'm a grassroots guy. As you can see, I'm not a very good dress-up guy. I feel that you can only put so much lipstick on a pig. I'm a down-home guy. I'm not going to put on a suit and do things of that nature, because I'm a blue-collar, working-class guy like majority of this county is. I love getting out and being seen in the community and meeting people. Campaigning's exciting. It can be full of anxiety too, but it can be exciting, and it's a lot of fun meeting people. And I cover a lot of miles. I go to a lot of different organization meetings, things of that nature, and I try to get as much information out about what I've done in the past and what I want to do in the future, which is lead Morgan County in the right direction and make it a safer place to live.
All right, so May 12th, the primary.
Yes, sir.
Independents, Republicans vote in the primary if they want, if they choose, independents if they choose. And is there anything else you want to leave our listeners with?
No, sir. That race will be over in May, and that's a good thing for both of us. Unless somebody else comes out, then it'll go on to November.
Right, and probably not a Democrat running in November. There wasn't last time.
There wasn't. I mean, it's not ruled out. I mean, there's always a chance somebody could come out, but as far as I know, there's not.
Okay, good luck on the election.
Thank you, Russell. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
And thank you for watching This Week in Morgan County.